Hello, all, and welcome to today's New Economy Fireside Chat series with me. I'm your host, Aashish Mehra, and I'm the Chief Research Officer at Markets and Markets. At M&M, we take great pride in transforming market intelligence into revenue impact for our clients. And most of the research that we do is focused on disruptive emerging technologies and futuristic trends, which will lead to significant shifts in your revenues in the coming decade or so. Through these new economy fireside chats, our objective is really to share actionable insights on these new revenue growth opportunities, which are coming from disruptions in your ecosystem. And these are mostly based on the client work that we have done and our own research. We've been talking a lot about sustainability over the last half a dozen chats. And I want to switch gears a bit and start talking about various technology frontiers. And for today's talk, it's about NextGen RPA. And I'm very, very pleased to welcome my guest, Tanuj Goyal, who leads our semiconductor and technology practice. Tanuj, would you want to say a quick hello to our audience?
Hi, folks. Hi, guys. Thanks, Ashish, for giving me this opportunity. I'm really grateful to come on this panel.
Thank you so much, Tanuj. So Tanuj, I think the first question that I'm sure a lot of our audience are thinking about is, well, RPA has been around for a while. So what's this next gen RPA and why should we really discuss it now? So tell us about that. What do you think about this next gen RPA?
Sure. I think this is a very good question, Ashish. And what I believe RPA technology has evolved quickly during the last few years and essentially taken the automation technology industry by storm. But like the question which you have asked, I mean, there are many people who are asking the same question, like how new is this RPA and where did it come from? What are its origins? So you see, like this automation used to exist in all forms and can be even mapped to the work done in early 80s or 90s. But the work that was done was being done in silos and independently with screen scraping software, workflow automation, AI, etc. But what RPA has done, it has integrated and elevated all the independent technologies, and it has elevated to a new level while advancing their capabilities in a significantly improved way. Now, this has opened doors for numerous applications, and we predict that RPA and its successor could actually have a potential economic impact of about 5 to 6 trillion in near future, and that's what causing the buzz in the market. So, so you see, the searches for this topic on Google Trends have skyrocketed since 2015, and with a significant pickup in 2019 and 2020. However, a new term is now surfacing, and that is proving to be a RPA alternative altogether. And people says it could be an intelligent process automation, enhanced RPA, or we call this as a next gen RPA. So because of the potential economic impact it has, this is what causing the buzz in the market or catching CXO's eyes.
Got it. And what do you see as the true potential in the coming, let's say, decade for this next gen RPA, robotic process automation, as we're calling it? And what do you think will be the enablers or the key drivers which could help us realize that potential?
So it's again a good question, Ashish. So precisely, if you see RPA today is somewhere around between 1.8 to 2 billion potential market, and I'm talking about this is the tapped market, and it's only just about 5 to 6% of the overall penetration it has. Now that means that there is a 40 billion untapped market or potential is sitting on table today. Now the question is, how will you tap the untapped market? Well, what you need to do is you need to increase the capability of these RPA platform, both in terms of the use cases and in terms of the technology. Only then you will be able to see uptick in terms of its adoption. At the same time, vendor needs to facilitate this shift by marketing RPA not as a tool but as an advanced AI-based platform, which has cognitive skills, and they can actually mimic human decisions in order to create friendly applications organizational wide. So if I just need to give you an instance, the financial institution has developed a machine learning algorithm for credit review and approval. And they did that using UiPath, which is one of the leaders in RPA platform. Their AI fabric platform they have used. Now, company has able to easily add this automated decision into a loan application approval process, which was never the case before. If you take example of JP Morgan Chase, again from a financial institution company, they have deployed predictive recommendation engine that identifies and advise clients which equity they need to sell, which equity they need to buy, and again they have automated the buying and the decision process of individual persons. Similarly, if you talk about Vodafone, they have deployed NLP powered bots in order to support customer executives for complaint resolution. So my point is, once you give power to create these use cases in the hands of enterprise, we would see a lot more adoption and convergence happening with next gen RPA. And we believe that this integration and convergence of technologies such as NLP, OCR, AI, blockchain, etc., and its transition towards platform for building applications that not just automate the tasks which are repetitive enough, but also they can automate the complete business environment. This can rise to 30 billion by 2030 with almost 40% CAGR, and with a penetration of somewhere around 30 to 35%, and that's what causing a buzz in the market.
Got it. So I think you already gave us a few examples or anecdotes about use cases. But if you had to take a step back, which industries do you think will be the top adopters, and what will be the top use cases in those industries?
So I think if you see RPA or next gen RPA for that matter, it impacts almost all the sectors and can transform not only manual and repetitive tasks, but also complex and cognitive based tasks. So it can be well adopted by almost everyone. But sectors like BFSI, telecom, retail, hospitality, and healthcare would be more beneficial. And the reason is because they have very heavy and stringent requirements, compliance requirements, both in terms of legal and audit, and 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 they touch base millions of users at the same time. Now, these industries are hard hit if these customers or regulations are not properly adhered. And that's why we believe that they would see greater ROI if they integrate these use cases being transformed by next gen RP. So you talked about like BFSI sector as one of the most prominent industry who are leading in terms of the adoption of these RPAs. Now this industry, they are adopting this RPA for many and multiple use cases such as reconciliation, KYC, fraud detection, loan processing, and many others. But the true use case or the true game changer scenario would be for this segment would require greater cognitive skills and ability, and should be able to mimic human decisions. And if vendors can integrate this functionality in order to actually unravel some of the use cases like predictive recommendations, automated trade, and enhanced customers portfolio management. These are real-time customers portfolio management with the ability to suggest and recommend. These would be the more beneficial and greater value add for the BFSI segment. Similarly, if you talk about telecom, I mean, we have seen multiple use cases like billing, invoicing, customer onboarding, service activation, and these use cases would be pretty much common not only for telecom but also for travel and retail. But the game changing or the innovative newer use cases which are not yet been identified would be something like real-time bandwidth management, network upgradation, and cognitive advertising in order to manage the lead properly would be great value add for telecom. Similarly, if you talk about travel, just imagine if these next-gen RPAs can actually plan your travel itinerary according to your taste, according to your preferences, and can also recommend some of the places to explore on the real-time basis. And in future, there are prototypes, there are developments happening where companies are trying to integrate these APIs with the hospitality sector in order to enhance the end-to-end experience, and also in order to enhance the leads generation for the marketing purposes. So there are multiple use cases across different segments. However, industries like energy and utilities, oil and gas, and legal, they are bit laggards in terms of adoption. And we believe it's all because of the labor laws in those countries. And moreover, the kind of processes that are being used in those industries are quite complex right now, and they have their own requirements in terms of maintaining the confidentiality, because these RPA platforms require greater set of security and compatibility in order to proceed ahead. So I think these are some of the important use cases. If these companies can actually throw into the market, the adoption can easily go up to 40 billion in next 5 to 10 years, in next 10 to 15 years. Sorry.
It's really interesting. And also, I think some of the use cases would have a profound impact on the current employability of people. So, for example, there could be chatbots that are wealth managers, and you may not need a lot of wealth managers going forward. But that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah,
So,
and I think just because you mentioned, I think it's worth mentioning that Walmart today, they are using 500 bots to automate many different tasks. Now, just imagine if these 500 bots, what is the kind of incremental revenue opportunity they are providing to Walmart, and they have 200 million accounts receivable with 2.3 million payrolls. So I think they have actually contributing significantly towards next-gen RPA platform.
great. So I think you did mention very nicely that there are current use cases and then there are game-changing use cases for each of the end use industries. You kind of mentioned that. Help us understand what are the innovations that are needed to lead to this large scale and step change in terms of the adoption. And what do you see as the biggest challenges in that large scale adoption, despite the innovations that might be happening?
Sure. So Ashish, I think it's this is the question that is buzzing with all these vendors now. Before answering like what are the innovations happening, I would like to touch upon why we need adopt innovations in this segment, and this actually allows me to talk about the maturity curve of different sectors. Now, as I mentioned, though RPA, next gen RPA is mature enough, but again, like certain verticals or certain sectors are being more mature because the kind of the use cases these are adopting, or these are actually fulfilling in order to increase the ROI for these sectors. But when you talk about the innovations are already on the radar to make these next gen RPA platforms or their APIs to talk and communicate not only within the organization but across or it like cross industry functionality. They are integrating it. So just imagine like right now that when RP started, it started with just automating a particular task which was manual and repetitive. Then it became the functionality got enhanced, then it started automating the processes. Now the functionality is again enhanced, they are automating the complete business environment. Now we are talking about the next layer, which you will see in near future, where these RPA will integrate different value chain, pieces of value chain. So for example, the RPA will integrate travel with hospitality. It will integrate banking with insurance, and that too with healthcare. Manufacturing sector will be integrated by distributors, and no worries. Like the people are still calling this as the next ERP platform altogether. So we believe that innovations can open doors in many organizations and can introduce a lot more use cases that are being currently served or are on table as of now. And I
Right.
think the next question, if I remember correctly, you said about what are the some of the challenges.
Mhm.
So I believe that some of the challenges, I mean, any technology in its evolving phase will always have certain challenges which developers or tech contributors they learn from those, and then only they enhance certain attributes or functionality of those technologies. And RP is no longer different than other technologies like AI or 5G. But RPA has its own different challenges. The biggest challenge of RPA is selecting the incorrect RPA platform. And if you are selecting a RPA platform for certain use cases, you will not be able to realize whether that RPA platform is suitable for that task or not until and unless you implement that RPA. So it's like your time has already gone, your money has already gone, and then you will realize that RPA platform was no longer suitable for that particular use case. And other challenges could be like lack of skilled resources, though there are certain courses and certain activities that are being planned by these vendors and tech players in order to ramp up the employability in the RPA segment. Unclear expectations and technical ambiguity is another challenge. I think the biggest worry is about the infrastructure issues. And because now we are talking about integrating and implementing these RPAs at a organization level, we believe, and it's a need of an hour where all the BUs of different departments they need to come and agree on a common set of agenda, which is not happening right now. So challenges are both internal and external, and that's what causing adoption relatively slow. Otherwise, this would have boomed by now.
Well, so you mentioned that it's a fairly large opportunity some time back, right? Close to about $40 billion. Help us
Yes.
understand, what do you see as the biggest revenue growth opportunities for the vendors as well as for the technology companies? Uh, where should they play, and what are the biggest opportunities that they should try to seize?
Sure, sure. So I think most of these vendors they have already realized that some of the sectors are prone to actually give them any like additional revenues or incremental revenues. But when it comes to implement an RPA solution, it involves RP vendors, tech partners, tech consultants, and next growth opportunity for RP vendors would come from cognitive or AI based automated platform, and that would set the next agenda for the next gen RPA. Now, these RPA vendors, in order to capture the upcoming growth, they need to enhance the cognitive and imaging capabilities of their existing RPAs to be able to support some of the advanced, more real-time, action-oriented use cases. And like I mentioned, like predictive recommendation, cognitive advertising, lead management, real-time analytics, and then only they would be able to actually capture much of the untapped market. And we believe that these next gen RPA would be a step up into the digitization and would eventually integrate the entire value chain in the respective application. At the same time, if you talk about tech partners like Microsoft, they would need to provide the platform which would be compatible enough in terms of like adding missing APIs or new APIs that can be seamlessly integrated or added by the organization to reap the true benefit of the connected value chain. Then only you will be able to see the true potential of the complete digitization. And if I think it's worth mentioning some of the promising countries who are leading the adoption or who will actually throw out some more revenue for these vendors would be US, Germany, India, Japan, China, then France, Canada, Australia, and in that order. So you see a lot of APAC countries are actually leading the race in terms of both in terms of adoption as well as in terms of like development of these next gen RPA platforms. So you see, like we started with commenting about the future of RPA, whether it will sustain this trend or it is a hype or it will be flattened. I think RPA is already into the transformation phase. In order to transform the complete business environment, whether you call it next gen RPA, enhanced RPA, it doesn't matter. What matter is that this advanced platform will mine up to 40 billion of untapped market in next 10 to 15 years, and that would be the growth contributor for both tech vendors and tech partners altogether.
Lovely, lovely. But thank you so much, Tanuj. It was a pleasure. And the 40 billion number is an eye-popping number. It's a fairly sizable growth opportunity for players in the ecosystem. So, folks, I think that's it for today. We really hope that you enjoyed getting insights from our guest Tanuj on NextGen RPA. Thanks once again, Tanuj. And folks, until next week, goodbye.
Pleasure is all mine, Ashish, and thanks for again giving me and inviting me to this panel. And look forward to meeting you once again.
Thank you.